What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Carter here, and today we are ranking all of the 9 films in the Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. This is my 4th video in my 6 days of Star Wars videos. My first 3 videos were all of the trilogies ranked on their own, so if you haven't seen those, please be sure to go check those out. And then tomorrow's video will be a ranking of all 12 Star Wars films, so all of the spin-off films, as well as the Skywalker Saga, combined in one ranking. But let's not waste any more time and rank the Skywalker Saga on its own. Once again, this is my opinion, my personal ranking, my least favorite to my most personal favorite. Let me know your ranking for the Skywalker Saga down in the comments below. I'm not going to go too into detail about each film and why it's at its ranking. I'm just going to list a few bullet point reasons as to why I may like or may not like that certain film. That being said, let's get into the 9th place. And coming in at 9th place, we have Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. This film does way too much to retcon negative feedback from The Last Jedi. It also has a horrible final battle that doesn't feel like a conclusion to a franchise that's 9 films deep. I didn't like the choices made with Rey to make her a random honorable mention Skywalker, and I did genuinely enjoy Daisy Ridley as an actress. However, I just thought her character arc, overall, Rey's character arc, was horrible. The fight sequences, Ben Solo, his redemption arc was awful. Nothing about this film is appealing, not even the visuals are appealing. It doesn't feel like a whole cohesive story. I don't like this film. Coming in at 8th place, we have Episode 8, The Last Jedi. It was such a negative blow to have such an iconic hero with Luke Skywalker really just giving up against his fight against evil and the Sith, and just giving up on all of the galaxy. In this film, Luke went from icon to asshole. The resistance chase was slow and super uninteresting, and every time I watch it, I don't find myself caring in any way, shape, or form. The only redeeming factor of The Last Jedi is the fact that it is actually visually very appealing. There are quite a few sequences that I do enjoy. Story-wise, this film is awful and is one of my least favorite films, and I don't put it much higher than The Rise of Skywalker. Coming in at 7th place, we have Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So The Phantom Menace is easily my least favorite of the prequel trilogy, as well as just being one of my least favorite Star Wars films all around. It is very drawn out, the politics are very drawn out, and there's only 2 sequences overall that I do genuinely enjoy, and that is the pod racing sequence and then the Duel of the Fates with Qui-Gon, Darth Maul, and Obi-Wan as like the apprentice, and I really did enjoy that sequence, but I'm not going to sit through that film just for those 2 scenes. I'd rather just watch them on YouTube. And coming in at 6th place, we have Episode 7, The Force Awakens. This film doesn't take any risk, but still manages to be the most enjoyable of the sequel trilogy. Just like The Last Jedi, this film was very visually appealing to see, as well as being one of the best theater experiences that I had, as it was just a great return to Star Wars, and everybody that was at the theaters was just excited about the franchise's return. And I think that even though this film really does nothing to push the story forward in a really positive way, I do enjoy some of the fight sequences, some of the set pieces, and just the way that this film looks as a whole. 5th place, we have Attack of the Clones. I do enjoy Anakin's journey throughout this film. I understand why people don't like this film. It is very drawn out. It's quite boring. Anakin is very whiny. I do have to say the reason why I like this film and put it above the other films is because of nostalgia. Yes. So yes, the final climax, the fight in the Geonosian arena, is fantastic. I love that sequence, and honestly, I can get through this film just to see that scene, whereas Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, I do not find it worth it to sit through that whole entire film and then watch the Duel of the Fates. Okay, so we have 4 films left, and coming in at 4th place, we have Episode 4, A New Hope. I do genuinely love this film. I think it is a great Star Wars film. Obviously, it kicked off Star Wars. It's fantastic. It's great. It's pure fun. It's enjoyable. Every time you watch it, you're really going to have some fun. However, after watching it so many times as a kid, rewatching it, trying to understand it from a more, I guess, adult film-oriented mind, I don't need to see this film again. And that's just because I've seen it so many times, and I know I like it, and I've gotten my enjoyment out of this film, and I think I will get more enjoyment out of this film when I'm able to show it to people who haven't seen it. Other than that, I personally don't need to rewatch this film, and that's why it gets the 4th place spot on this list. Okay, so now we are moving on into the top 3 Star Wars films. Yes, so these are my 3 favorite Star Wars films of the Skywalker Saga. I genuinely love all 3 of these films. I do love A New Hope, but all 3 of these films are just a step above. The number 3 spot, we have The Empire Strikes Back. Yes, I do genuinely love The Empire Strikes Back. I find that most people, think that The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars film, and I get that. There's so many reasons why. You have Luke versus Vader, Cloud City, the reveal of who Vader is, everything about Yoda and Dagobah, Yoda's hut, Hoth and Han and Leia. Everything about this film is really fun and honestly might be one of the most rewatchable Star Wars films. I just personally don't have the attachment to this film that I do to the other 2 films that are higher up on this list. And with that being said, let's get into the number 2 spot. My second favorite Star Wars film of all time is Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. In Episode 3, I genuinely love this film. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, I went and saw this in theaters opening night. I remember it as a little, 6-year-old actually. I love this film. It's also, once again, nostalgia, but I do think it's one of the best Star Wars films. The fact that the good doesn't win, and it still manages to tell a story that's, I personally think, is pretty compelling, and overall for the Star Wars universe, I do think it's one of the most complex stories that is told in a mostly successful way. I love the opening space battle. You have General Grievous, who is awesome. All of Order 66 was insane, especially upon first watch. Seeing that for the first time as a kid was mind-blowing. And seeing Anakin turn, Vader's transformation, the fight with Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar, everything about this film I love. So yes, it's a very close call between this film and my number 1 spot. Revenge of the Sith does get the number 2 spot, and that's because if I were going to watch any of the Skywalker Saga films, and I just had to pick one, which Star Wars film would I want to rewatch basically forever if I had to pick that? And that comes down to Return of the Jedi. Again, also due to nostalgia, this is the film that I grew up watching the most, I would say. I have the most attachment to the Ewoks. I know that's more of a visual, cuddly, cuteness factor, but I love Ewoks. I love Endor. I love the Scout Troopers. I love the final fight with Luke and Vader and Palpatine. Everything about this film is fun. The party on Endor with the Ewoks, and then the updated version where you have the Force Ghost of Hayden Christensen's Anakin. I enjoyed it all, and that's my ranking for all 9 films of the Skywalker Saga. Let me know your personal ranking down in the comments below. I know it's all going to be quite different because there's 9 films, there's so many different combinations, but I genuinely do not like the sequel trilogy. It is, as a whole, just awful. As a trilogy, it's one of the worst trilogies of all time, and so obviously you can tell those films are at, the lower end of this list, and then Phantom Menace is my least favorite of the prequel trilogy, but there's some good Star Wars films in here, and I do think that the original trilogy is the best. That's it. That's my ranking for all 9 films in the Skywalker Saga. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in tomorrow's video, which I will be ranking all 9 of these films again, but with all of the solo films added onto it. And that video will be a much quicker pace because I genuinely didn't want to talk about all 9 of these films again in really any sort of detail. As for the fact that I'm just going to say right now, I kind of don't care for most of the spin-off films, so there's not much for me to say about those anyways, so tomorrow's video will be a little bit shorter.